guys and girls, and welcome to episode 72 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're literally 2 subscribers away from 1,000, so you could really help us out. Boost us over that 1,000 subscribers on stream. That'd be awesome. We'd do a little celebration.
If a week from now, Mike, we're still like one off. This is gonna feel good. This is gonna feel good.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, put them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up, they say once you go green, you get mean. He's the proud owner of a fancy new green screen. It's ZimTok5. How are you doing, dude?
Oh, I've been greenified, man. I've been greenified, and I've seen the light, and it's horrible. I am very well known for being dead set against something for like 3-4 years, and then something tipping the balance and me going for it, and then me going like, okay, this is pretty fucking good. So the thing is, I think it, and I got myself an Elgato green screen, the kind of easy, pull up, drop one, and that was actually, that device being available was really a prerequisite to me even jumping on board, because I wasn't gonna put up a cloth behind me on stilts and stuff like that, and I definitely wasn't gonna paint my room a garish green. I mean, I want my Skyrim poster and Kitty Jaws posters up there, so none of this bright green nonsense. Sorry, YouTubers and others who love green, but I just can't stand that color. I mean, I have green shorts, which meant lovely that I was able to dance around on stream yesterday with no pants. Haha, take that, Twitch TOS. But aside from that, no, it's been a lovely experiment, and I'd say the thing that's most important about it, and the thing if anyone's ever considering a racing wheel, is like consider where am I storing it, right? What's the set up and set down time, right? And where's it going to be in your environment? Like, and then really accurately answer to yourself: is that amount of money worth it for that little toy to then get something out of it, and will you actually use it? Because for a year I had to debate over the wheel, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to take it on and put it off like every stream. And eventually, after a couple of years of literally having the wheel over here, and like I work from home, be like straddling over my keyboard like this for the whole day, like that's not good. That's really, really bad and not smart. Finally wisened up and stuck it over here, and it stayed there for like 6 months. So you got to work out where you're going to put these things if you're going to want to buy it.
Is it a worthwhile purchase? Does it get the Zim seal of approval?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you why.
Does.
Within 10 minutes, I had a perfectly lit, perfectly keyed green screen up working. Super easy. I can't.
Are you gonna show it on stream how quickly it goes?
Do you want me to?
Maybe we'll do it later.
Yeah, we'll do it later. Towards the end of the show.
Not right now. Okay. So, moving on, eventually. Next up, he collects all the headsets, but don't dare touch them because they're all his precious. He is the Smeagol of the metaverse. It is Nathie. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah. Thanks for calling me Smeagol.
Again.
That's like our nickname for each other. We call each other Smeagol.
Yeah, that's true.
It's endearing.
After the podcast, I'm going to crawl into my grotto again and kiss all my VR headsets like I do every day. Kiss them to sleep.
You have a scary number of headsets. I mean, from a guy who feels like his house is filled with them, my God, you got like 30 headsets. It's crazy.
Yeah, but also the fact that I have sometimes double, right? I have a few of the same ones too. So, but there is still some collecting to do this year, right? So,
yeah. But other than all your headsets, are you okay? You all right?
Yes, I'm getting ready to go to China tomorrow. So, exciting times.
It is very exciting. It's very exciting. We've got a special guest actually next week taking your spot.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
those of you out there
for once.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that. So next up, he's been overdosing on carbs this week, playing with potatoes. Keep your eyes peeled for the Rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
You got that one. How long did you have to think about that one?
It took me a while. Although I've got some more for you. You ready for this one?
Go.
What do you call a stolen potato? A hot potato. And I got one more.
Okay, now.
What do you call a potato that smokes weed? A baked potato.
that was good. That one was good.
Oh man, I like the last one. I like the last one the best.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that? But you're okay.
I'm all right. I'm perfect. You know, I'm back in my. I saw people in the chat saying it's Rowdy in a tent. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm in like a green. Like a green environment or something. No, I'm just like, Zim was supposed to key this out and make it look like I'm like somewhere in the woods, but apparently he hasn't done that.
You have no idea. I literally have a video loaded about that. What's the name of the band? I don't know. The gay bar one, Electric Six. I was going to put that behind you muted and sneak it in there today, but I decided that's just not right.
All right.
What's it is today. Tomorrow.
Elgato sponsored Rowdy's next camping trip, apparently.
Yeah, but it's good to hear that you're all right and you enjoyed my little potato jokes. Let me know in the chat if you appreciate them or not. If you don't know who I am, I'm Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got a jam-packed episode for you today. We're going to be talking about Vive Pro Eye updates. Foldaway Haptics. This is kind of a crazy transforming VR thumbstick that can provide haptic feedback in virtual reality. We're going to be talking about the latest VR releases to look forward to next week and Protube's new Force Tube VR. This upcoming accessory will add recoil feedback to your favorite gun stock. So some interesting topics to talk about. But of course, let's start the show off how we usually start it off, and that is to find out what everyone's been playing this week and their highlight of the week in VR. And as Nathie was up first with Zim was up first with the introductions, he gets to go first. So what have you been up to this week then, man?
Lucky. Getting my ass kicked by an 18-year-old. So a good friend of mine, who's one of my moderators named Adam, last night gave me a shoeing in BoxVR. I was just kind of toying around with the green screen, trying different things, and then got into BoxVR and I was like, there's a multiplayer mode. I didn't know there was a multiplayer mode, and I didn't realize it's like multiplayer. It's not just two people. You can have like, I don't know how many it is. Maybe there's like 8 or 16 or something. Yeah, I was like, we could totally get something going here. Like, everyone get up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday and just fucking get in there and you compete. But I got to tell you, when you do like squat exercise things against an 18-year-old, you lose badly. And I'm burning today. I am hobbling around in a way that I haven't for weeks. So, Good job, Adam.
I had that with Beat Saber the first time that I played that, just because of like, you're like ducking and you're going up and down, and I'm telling you, the next 3 days I couldn't do any stairs at all. I couldn't do any stairs. People are looking at me like, what did he do over the weekend? But yeah.
Wait, you couldn't do any stairs?
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do any stairs.
With your arms?
It's the glutes and the quads.
No,
you know?
it's the when you play like the higher levels, you get like a lot of those blocks where you need to like duck from.
Oh,
and,
the
like,
ducking.
go under and those kind of things.
So this multiplayer, just describe it to me. So you're playing side by side. Is that kind of how it works?
I thought that's how it would be. You actually have like a leaderboard in front of you, and you can see like their calorie burn, so you know how much like punch effort and kind of it's like their rate of point change that you've got, as well as the overall points. And the thing is, like, I started off really strong. I'm usually good at these like exercise things, and I'm like, yeah, no way. And then I look up for like 2 seconds, and he's like double my score. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't miss anything. And he's just obviously going to town because he was breathless at the end. He was focused on killing me. And I'm like, nah, let's do another one. And he beat me at that one, and it was atrocious. But it really inspired me to be like, because multiplayer exercise, like if anyone's ever done like training for like a 5K or something, a race, if you have a buddy to just one other person who you will disappoint if you don't exercise, is transformational in terms of, so that's the big key here. And I think this is really cool because, like, as you said, Rowdy, if there was multiplayer Beat Saber, and there is the party mode, which was a big hit at OC5, I played that for like 5 days straight with the SciTech team. But if there was multiplayer Beat Saber, I mean, that would be all over the place. That's got to be something they're working on, because that's I can't wait.
For sure. But you're totally right. Having that accountability to someone else makes a huge difference.
All the difference, yeah.
So can we watch this back on your VOD? And is this you using your fancy green screen as well?
It is, yeah.
Have you dabbled with mixed reality recording yet?
Yes. So what I did yesterday was actually the I call it Zim's idiot test, which is, can I firstly get the thing out of the box on stream, and then how quickly can I get the thing working? And so obviously the Elgato green screen passed with flying colors in 10 minutes. Live, I specifically said, okay, what the current state of Live is, because I tried Live, which is a software you can download on Steam. It's free, and it helps you with integration for calibrating for mixed reality. And I thought, okay, how good are they at the moment? Because I've heard it's pretty straightforward, but I think it's still configuration heavy. Can I do it without looking at any instructions? Can I just, let me see how intuitive their app is. Yeah. So unfortunately they failed the idiot test there, or maybe I did. I don't know, but I didn't quite get there. I got to the point where like the scene was compositing, the cameras weren't quite oriented, and they couldn't see what I was trying to get them to see, although they could see a composited scene, but it was like in the wrong place. So I must have done something wrong. I'm gonna go back and look at the guides and then prepare for the next one. But to be honest, I got further than I was expecting to get. So thumbs up to the team.
I still need to get into that. I know that you did a few tutorials on it, Mike. Are they still up to date as well, or are they?
They're a little bit outdated because Live did an update where they don't rely on an external setup scene anymore. So they used to use an app called Live Vive, and then they dropped that, and now it's integrated within the app itself. So that's the only thing that's really changed, but it did confuse a lot of people. But pretty much everything I covered in that guide still applies and is still relevant. Okay. So yeah, go and check it out. But I think it's one of those things that if you invest a lot of time and effort and you've got a setup that doesn't necessarily have to be moved around so much, then it'll always be calibrated and set up for that then afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I need to get into that as well.
Yeah, well, it looks, the thing is, and this is the tipping point again. 3-4 years, decided I was totally against green screens, and then a friend of mine is like, oh, that looks fun, and he was like pointing to another lady on Twitch who I kind of have animosity against, you could say, and I was like, feck that, I'm gonna go and try it and just see how I can do it better, So anyway, I'm just on that.
Nothing like a little bit of healthy competition to spur you on.
Oh, I'm all for competition, absolutely. Yeah. And Mike, I'll see you in BoxVR at some stage.
So just an important announcement. We hit 1,000 subscribers.
Well done, lads. Yeah. Thank you very much for those in the chat that helped us out.
All right.
Cross that line.
We are officially famous now on YouTube.
Can we just have another 999,000 subs, please?
Yeah.
We gotta hit that million.
If we can reach that by the end of the stream, we'll all get naked.
Whoa.
Maybe you don't want that. The sub starts going down.
I know how the internet works, Mike. I'm not joining that. In an hour, that could happen.
So, Nathie, tell us what you've been up to this week, there, man.
Well, first of all, Christmas tree is gone.
Oh, well done. so basically this week you've cleaned your room. Well done.
It took me a week to get rid of the Christmas tree. No, I didn't play that much at the moment. I feel like the launch titles that we are getting are, well, not the most amazing ones. It's like the start of the new year, so
yeah,
we are still waiting for the big behemoths of games. But I did play, like everyone else, Ace Combat 7. I think everyone pretty much played it, and it's awesome. I like it, but I do have to say, you can only play 3 missions, right, in VR, and it's over really, really quickly. And then you're like, what? I want more. So I still think it's quite expensive for what you get, but maybe that's just me. The game's like $60, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's expensive. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
and when you then can only play 3 PSVR missions that more feel like, well, experiences compared to what you can play on the pancake screen, I'm like, yeah, maybe you should just have sold it separately from the base game.
Yeah.
I think.
Good call. Good idea.
Yeah, because that's pretty much what I was going to talk about this week as well. And like I'd never really played any flight combat games before. Like, it's not really my genre. It's not really my bag.
No, same here.
And you played it with the Thrustmaster HOTAS, right?
Yeah, so
T-Flight HOTAS.
Yeah, and again, like, I'm also not a like flight fanatic at all, and I was surprised how fast you can learn, and it's great. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's way better than playing with a gamepad, because I did that before, because I had to wait for my flight stick, and yeah, it adds so much more to the immersion. It's giving you so much more control over your plane, and yeah, it's nice, but I think it would have been overkill if I would have bought this flight stick just for Ace Combat. Now, this one can also be used on PC, and you can use it with many more simulators. But
is it coming to PC actually?
Yeah. I heard in 2020, right? It's like a timed exclusive.
The game is coming to PC on the 1st of February, but the VR content isn't coming to PC for about a year.
Yeah. But honestly, I would not buy a flight stick just for these 3 missions. But I would buy a flight stick to explore other simulators, the ones that Zim also spoke about in the last podcast. Not flying aces, by the way. Beware of that one.
I did that one.
What did you think, Rowdy?
I didn't play it even with a flight stick. I just played it like with what? Can you play it with a flight stick actually? I don't know. I just used the general controls of the. I suck at these kind of things. Like, I landed my plane, and all of a sudden the handbrake was off, and the plane just rolled in the water every time that I tried that. Like, I don't even know. I was screaming at the screen. Still need to make that video though. It's a pretty fun one.
Wait. So you got it off the boat, but not into the air.
No, I was, and then he said, like, oh, go and land again. So I went, I landed, and I was like, on the edge of the thing, and I was like leaning over, and I was like trying to hold it back and go back. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, you got to make that into a video. One other thing that's free, I would just got to mention, if you got a flight stick, and I know many of you do now, War Thunder, old freebie game, for ages had kind of half VR support. It's actually pretty decent, and if you want, you've got 2 different modes. You can go arcadey, and you can go like full-on sim, like the kind of like what they were trying to show in that Navy simulator game, where you got all the switches. You got to do all the takeoff steps, which is like 7-12 steps before you can even get the plane in the air, and it takes you through a whole plethora of planes. So that's a good one. Mike started to dip into DCS, I think, as well. So I don't know if you touched it yet, but
no, not
good
yet.
luck.
Well, I was going to ask Nathie, like, have you ever played an Ace Combat game before?
No, it was the first time.
So pretty much we were in the same boat in terms of we'd never used a HOTAS before, never played Ace Combat before. Flying games isn't really a genre. But
Elite Dangerous, has anyone tried that with a flight stick? You don't like it, Zim?
No.
Since you're not mentioning it?
Love it. Yeah. No. The best part about Elite Dangerous, it is the only VR game that I know that you can use your HOTAS. Yeah. And then when you get to the planetary lander and you drop your SRV, you can feckin' roam around with the pedals and everything on the surface of the moon. Switching between those and then calling your ship to come pick your SRV up and then fly off again feels amazing. The reason I don't run Elite more is it's the black abyss of space, and I don't find it that entertaining. There are people who, I'm trying to remember the guy now, Malik VR, he's a partner Twitch streamer, does only Elite Dangerous in VR. So, you know, props to him, but I just, from an entertainment value for me, it's not enough for the audience. So.
Yeah,
get it.
But yeah, like I'd nenever really played any games like that before. I think the closest I've ever come to it is like Ultra Wings or maybe like E-Valkyrie when that first came out. Because that feeling in E-Valkyrie when you get shot off into space for the first time is that similar sort of feeling you get on Ace Combat when you get shot off the aircraft carrier for the first time. So those kind of feelings were really cool. But certainly, you know, and I know it's only got 3 missions, but still, I don't think I've come close to anything like that really felt like an arcade experience. You know, you're completely immersed in a VR headset so you can look around freely, and then you've got this like hands-on throttle and stick combination as well. And that it's like peanut butter and jelly. Like it just works so well together that it builds up to a really amazing experience. And I was just like completely blown away by it.
I was gonna say, speaking of sticky peanut butter, the #1 tip I have for dealing with the same, because you've got essentially the same model of HOTAS that I do. This is great. See what's on the bottom there?
Yeah.
It's blue tack. Well, pink tack, but it's just sticky adhesive. Super helpful, because if it feels like it's glued to metal or whatever and can't move, it gives you a totally different feeling. Trust me, give it a shot. Yeah. It's well worth
I never had any problems with it moving around anyway.
Did you not?
I don't know if they've updated it.
It's a different base, because I have the same module as ZimS, and I have that it does move. So maybe the models are slightly different, and they already have something on the bottom of them.
I'll tell you why. The sticky pads on the bottom, once they pick up a little bit of dust, useless. Like it moves then. So I'd say once yours gets a week or 2 old, you'll find that issue.
Yeah. But I think overall, like it was about an hour and a half's worth of content, would you say, Nathie, for the Ace Combat VR missions?
It took me around 50 minutes to finish.
Okay. It took me longer. I was just like a complete noob at it, and I died a few times before.
Because there is no tutorial for the VR thing, so you kind of need to figure it out for yourself. Yeah. But no, I think it was super awesome. It's just that, let's say, I feel like this VR version was a bit overhyped. If you buy the game itself and you love to fly around, do it. You know, buy a flight stick for that. But don't think you need a flight stick only for these 3 missions. No. I would have a long-term vision on that and think like, okay, this is fun. Do I want to play more flight simulators in VR? Then yeah, but how many flight simulators do you have on the PlayStation that you can dive into in VR? It's rare.
Yeah, I think the thing with this, like, you know, although it's probably one of the hands down best VR experience I've had this year so far, and probably, you know, which is pretty easy, bearing in mind we're only at the beginning anyway, but like it's the best hands down experience I've had for a long time in VR, put it that way, in combination with this hands-on throttle and stick. And despite the fact that I enjoyed it so much, it is very difficult to recommend, purely for the reason that it's expensive to buy this hands-on throttle and stick. The game's expensive, and you just wouldn't buy it for the VR content alone, because it's just 3 missions. Whereas if you're going to buy the game anyway and you're going to enjoy the game aside from VR, then go for it. Then I'd recommend it, but don't buy it.
If there were more flight simulators on the PlayStation Store that you could play in VR, then I would go for it. But
that stick's
that's not the thing right now.
That stick is cross-compatible with PC though, right? It's one of those like PlayStation Plus PC.
Yeah.
So if you're a lucky multi-headset owner, then I'd say definitely do it, because one of the things that I would say, if you're getting into sim, and while I was walking the dog today, Mike, I thought of you. I thought, you know what? This is where Zim was about 2 years into his VR stuff. You start to get this itch for like, I just need a little bit more. I need that feeling of that fix of like when I first got into VR, and simming gives it to you, and that's the problem, because then you start to get into like expensive peripherals, and oh my god, that's where your wallet is going to
That's the thing that I wanted to highlight as well, because I find it very interesting, Mike, that you said it's like the most like immersive experience you've had in a long time, and And I think that comes a lot because of like the peripherals that you're using, because you're using, of course, the HOTAS. And I would find it really nice if you would see other virtual reality games that don't use these kind of peripherals, use the controllers more, use the hands, like that you can pick up things, like, you know, throw things around, like, because I have a feeling that a lot of the VR games that are being developed and being released don't really make full use of, for example, the Oculus Touch controllers, or for example, the HTC Vive is a little bit more difficult, but you can still do things with the grip buttons and the triggers. So I do find it very interesting that you said it's the most immersive experience, because I think it comes a lot, not because of the game, but because of like that add-on that you have from that HOTAS controller. So
yeah. For sure. Yeah. But since that video, a lot of people, I asked in that video, what else should I play, because I'm completely new to this genre. A lot of people were saying I need to check out DCS. So yeah, I did start downloading it. I haven't finished it because it's quite a big download. But like looking at the DLC, it's like super expensive. That's a slippery slope there, my friend.
It is. If you were to ask me what game will sting you the hardest when it comes to DLC and money, like DCS is on par with some of the worst I've seen on Steam. The thing is, what you'll be able to play out of the box for free or whatever is almost nothing. You get like one plane, and then if you want to pay for stuff before long, you've spent 50, 100 or whatever. It's
easy.
But it is legitimate sim. I mean, that is.
I think, yeah, it's like the DLC packs for a single plane are like 60 quid, something like that.
You buy a plane after you finish with all those. But the thing I was going to say,
is like the best one out there.
Exactly, like the detail is phenomenal. It looks amazing. So I'm excited to try it out for sure.
I was just going to say about the peripherals. If you're going to go down the sim route, going for flying, for 30 quid or whatever, you can get a HOTAS. Driving is a lot, especially driving with force feedback, is a lot more expensive. Like, I mean, the difference there is 30 pounds, 260 pounds. Big difference, right? So, I've had that set since Elite Dangerous, my first ever VR stream, which was actually in Elite. So, with that HOTAS.
Me too, and I've played with it once.
I play with it regularly, actually, but it does sit in the attic on occasion for 6 months.
So, according to Dave Station, PlayStation VR does have some flight sims like Ultra Wings and eValkyrie,
Ultra Wings is good.
Star Blood Arena, and Space. But what I was talking about were more games similar to Ace Combat, where it's like a real simulation.
Yeah. So, what about you then, Rowdy? What have you been up to this week?
Well, actually, I haven't made a video of it, but I've been playing together with Lonely Viper a lot in Contractors. So he said, like, oh, you have to check it out. It's so much fun. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know if like I'm gonna like this, because it's gonna be like I'm gonna be playing with Viper first off, so I'm gonna die like so many times already. And the people he plays with are pretty good then as well. But I played a little bit with the bots for like a little while, just to like see if I could get the hand lift. And holy heck, that game is gorgeous.
Yep.
Yeah,
wow.
For sure.
Yep. It's looking really, really. It's heavy though. It's a heavy game, because I had to lower my settings like significantly to get it running up to a standard that I liked it. But wow, that game is beautiful, and it kind of like comes back at like the thing that we said before, like the immersion that you're getting. I really had that feeling in that game as well. Also because they have multiple points where you can like grab the gun. I found that a really cool addition to it. The buttons for like reloading and like the buttons for like changing the rate of fire, they're all like kind of positioned as well around like the buttons that you're using on the Vive control. So I like that a lot about it as well. And then I play with Viper as well, and I had so much fun. I think I played it maybe 6 or 7 times only this week, almost every day, because I had so much fun.
I'd love to get into it that much. Because like I remember, like, you know, Zim was playing it a lot as well, and when I tried it out again, like I was amazed by the graphical fidelity of the game. It looks brilliant, and I think it's the best looking multiplayer shooter in VR right now. And again, like with the way the weapons feel and the satisfying shooting mechanics and everything else. Interestingly though, because we're going to be talking about it later on about the Protube. Have you been using your Protube for your gaming sessions?
I haven't, but only for one reason, because I've been talking with Viper as well about that, because he's using one of the magnetic ones, so like it's one that you can like click out. I don't have that, so with me I need to like put it back in, and I'm sorry, but I'm not that like, you know, motoric like a genius like that can like find the thing immediately like those pro players. So for me it's more like, you know, I'm gonna just play without. I don't play with the sniper then, because, you know, you're playing like this. Viper can do that because he can like just click it out and click it back in. But I am considering maybe going and getting with the magnetic upgrade.
I was going to say, you can pay a little bit extra and get those upgrades sent out to you, and then you could upgrade it yourself to have those magnets.
I'm thinking about doing that.
I've been so tempted myself, but like Mike, and I can see it in his puppy eyes, I feel so guilty about Contractors because it feels like a game, like when I was playing Firewall, it feels like a game that's like, if I was single and not a content creator again, I'd be in that game for like hundreds of hours a week, you know, with my buddies, hanging out, talking and stuff. And you just have to just watch it as it passes by. And it's like, feck. Yeah. But
although we're going to touch on this again later on with the Protube news. So let's hold the conversation there then. But let us know in the chat what you've been playing this week, and you can let us know, and we can sort of talk about that on the show as well. But let's move into some very quick news. And first up is VRChat is celebrating its birthday. This Tuesday, the 15th of January 2019, was the birthday of VRChat, and it's been celebrating 5 years of social VR. So happy birthday to VRChat.
Oh.
It's been available on Steam now for just under 2 years, and it's just recently launched on Oculus Home as well. And it was actually born out of a college project, and now has grown into this monster that it is now, that cannot be contained by anyone. And I think it's the closest
adjective. Sorry, perfect adjective.
It's the closest thing we have to like the Oasis right now, right? Like the closest thing we have to like Ready Player One. Yeah. You've got this diverse group of people in there. You know, it welcomes everyone. Everyone's got their own little communities. And I don't think I've ever been in there and experienced the same thing twice. Like it's completely different every time.
It's weird though. We're not gonna lie.
It is weird. Yeah, it is weird.
Everywhere you're weird.
Yeah, like I was thinking, like maybe we should talk about maybe like our favorite moment that we've ever had in VRChat, and sort of do a little round table. So go on then, Zim. If you've got an easy one, let's go for it. The knuckles, your favorite.
Definitely favorite by far.
Okay. What about you then, Nathie? You got a favorite moment in VRChat? What about when What about when you were Superman and you locked everyone up in prison?
That was fun too. Yeah. No, I think it was when VRChat was celebrating their second birthday. We all met up, and it was like a small community back then. Nothing compared to what it is now, but there was one man, because everyone could like tell their own story of how they liked VRChat and what it meant to them. And there was one man that stepped forward and he said, like, first of all, you are like all friends to me. I have been in a wheelchair since I was born, and I can't always get outside of the house, but because of VRChat, I feel way more connected with everyone around me. And it was like a super special moment. I was like, wow, yeah, this is one of those beautiful things VR can do, right? And it's a video on YouTube too, because they recorded the second birthday. But that was like a very special one. Yeah.
It sounds like the plot of an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but that's amazing. Like being able to like have access to like a community of people that are very social and not having to leave the house, especially if you're housebound or restricted in movement. And that's amazing that they can give you that kind of second life, without sort of, giving that.
But it's also not like a static environment that you can't paint with your own brush. I mean, the amount of people who I know who've been close to me, who've created their own world or created their own character and invested hours and hours and hours in the detail of that, and then you feel the pride of like, this is me. This is my digital avatar, and I created this. And this is the only thing. It's rigged and meshed and textured, and I'm ready to go. And I think it's the thing that I didn't understand about VRChat when I first saw it was the power it was going to have for artists and people who really want to create and get the social capital back of, wow, you made that? That's cool.
So what about you then, Rowdy? Do you have a moment in VRChat you wanna share?
Yeah, I was thinking about it because I didn't spend as much time in it as you did, but I did spend some time with you guys, and I fondly remember still the episode where you were a mouse.
Yeah, I wanted to say that now. Like, we went Titanic one.
We went to the Titanic and like we went on all the ropes. We started like doing all that crazy stuff there, and then afterwards we hit the gym. And I remember Mike like taking one of his folders as a mouse and like going like,
Yeah.
I think that was my top moment.
That was funny. Yeah, that was funny. I remember like I don't know when it was. It must have been around Christmas time because me and Nathie went in there once and we were sledging down these hills, which was really crazy, really intense, really like motion sickness inducing as well. This nightclub, and there was just like people raving in there, like maybe like 30 people, all like raving and dancing in this disco, and it just felt like almost that scene out of like the Ready Player One where he walks into the distracted globe. Like everyone's just having a wild time. Yeah. It was just really eye-opening, but it was a really fun memory, and obviously being the Knuckles as well, and being initiated to the tribe was hilarious.
Did you all get initiated? I think you guys did, right? But Rowdy maybe
me and Nathie did. Yeah, we were shown like the secret area, and this like devil Knuckles like initiated us and blessed us and all this kind of stuff. It was hilarious. But
so good.
Yeah, so we had some fun memories in there. But if there's anyone in the chat that's got some funny stories as well, let us know, and maybe we can read them out at the end of the quick news segment.
Yep.
But let's move on then to Dick Wilde 2, because we got some awesome news this week that Danish developers Bolver Games will be releasing Dick Wilde 2 on PSVR and Steam next month. And if you've never heard of Dick Wilde, we're not talking about one of those CD VR games trending on Steam. No, this is like a fun cartoony wave-based shooter, It takes place in like a swamp, basically. You're like a redneck living on this swamp, and the swamp's overrun with critters, and you basically have to use makeshift weapons like that held together with duct tape and beer cans to take out these critters. And it was kind of, although it was a wave-based shooter, which obviously is kind of one of the sort of gets a bit of stick from the VR community, it was actually one that stood out from the crowd because of the cartoony art style, and the humorous dialogue from the characters was really fun.
And it had PSVR aim controller support.
Excellent. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, it was very nice to play with. It's one of the games I actually played with the PSVR aim controller, and it was very, very nice. Very nice.
Nice. That's good to know actually, because I didn't have the PSVR or the aim back then, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. When I played it with launch, like what you said, Mike, it definitely stood out. Kind of like Shooty Fruity as well. Those are the two games out of the era of like, please stop producing like wave shooters. I'm in that space now with Room Escape games, but like please stop, and then this came out, and you're like, actually, you go in wanting to hate it, and then you're like, this is pretty solid. The thing I liked about it was that really balanced. Like you have to, not just you have to know what you're doing, but it's kind of fair and fun at the same time, as you said. Not just the style, but I didn't find it was like overly hard or too easy. It wasn't a game I could just roll through. No. And the weapons are like substantially different from gun to gun. So what they're going to do for this, obviously with the trailer, multiplayer's in there.
Yes, so they're going to be adding online co-op support, so you can play with friends across all platforms, which is great. So PSVR players can play with PCVR players and vice versa. So that's going to be a really cool feature. I'm really pleased they've added that.
That's great.
And then also, instead of being static and just being stuck in one spot on a swamp or a lake, you now are on a raft which moves through a linear level. So you can now play this with your friend on a raft going down these crazy levels together. So it sounds like a lot more fun. Yeah. And the thing is, although I didn't see this coming, I definitely welcome it. Like, I never thought in my mind, oh, this is a game that I really need. But having seen it, I'm like, I really want to play this. It looks like a lot of fun. So
they're addressing a piece of the market with this, because co-op, cross-platform games in that space.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is there's not a lot that answers that question other than things like Rec Room, right?
And Evasion was a shooter that you could play co-op, cross-platform play, but that game wasn't particularly great, and I didn't enjoy it. Whereas this looks more fun to play, and you can have a lot of fun with this one, especially with the different weapons and the dialogue from the characters. I think.
I wonder what kind of interactions they are going to throw in there that you can have together, right? Where you can maybe throw a weapon to someone else, or do a box, or like we had in Carly and the Reaperman, where two players can have all kinds of different interactions, and it makes it just more fun in general.
Well, if you parallel it to an existing title like on the go, Coaster Combat, which I guess that's not even multiplayer, is it?
No, that's a single player.
I always thought that was multiplayer, because on the thing they show like people and shooting.
Oh yeah.
I always thought it was multiplayer, so I have it in my head still baked that it is, but it's not. But yeah, something where you're moving and shooting should be good.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. We don't have an exact release date, but we'll obviously update you on the show as soon as we do. So next up is Vive Pro Eye updates. Because last week we talked a lot about VR hardware, which was shown off at CES in Las Vegas. And we talked about the Vive Pro Eye, which featured Tobii eye tracking. And the thing is, the Vive Pro Eye is pretty much the same identical headset as the Vive Pro. So we were kind of hoping that these Tobii eye tracking modules would be able to be bought separately so you could upgrade your current Vive Pro to the new Vive Pro Eye. Friend and fellow content creator Tyriel Wood actually reached out to Tobii and asked the question on Twitter, and they replied stating that this just wouldn't be possible and they would recommend users go out and buy the Vive Pro Eye instead. So unfortunately, you can't upgrade your current headset. You can't buy these modules and upgrade it. Obviously, for us consumers, it's not a huge deal because it's firmly aimed at enterprise and businesses right now. However, it's a bit of a shame that these businesses and enterprise have to buy yet another headset for their development team and spend more money, which they could spend on other things to take advantage of this new hardware. So it's a bit disappointing to hear that. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think of that.
Human resources are not going to be happy. I mean, there's going to another 2 jobs gone just because they had to buy another Pro Eye.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's quite extreme. But
I find it weird. I find it a weird strategy to go about this because they keep on. They must be having some kind of backlog at the Vive headquarters as well, right? That is. But who's still going to buy them then now?
And this is the thing, it seems like an easy enough thing to just retrofit yourself. It's just a couple of eye modules. Sure, you plug it in with power at the top of the Vive Pro. It can't be that complicated. And the thing is, I was looking into it, and there are other options. So if you are a developer out there and you're thinking you want to mess around with eye tracking, but you don't want to buy a Vive Pro Eye, then you can look into 7invensun, which is the eye tracking company working with Pimax right now to bring their eye tracking modules. And they do actually sell a kit for the Vive and the Vive Pro. So it's going to have the same feature set, foveated rendering and all the other bits and pieces with it. So if you want to mess around with eye tracking, maybe look into the options that they're providing instead of having to outlay for a full new headset. Just a suggestion there.
Yeah, Tom Cruise actually did a great YouTube video or something on this for the eye tracking piece. There's Mike already knows I'm pulling something here. Yeah, there was this film he was in where he just popped the eye out. And anyway, I'm gonna stop now.
Oh yeah.
We have in chat we have Alexander Major saying that the Tobii eye tracking is pretty sophisticated stuff. I worked on game support with their hardware before my foray into VR, and it requires special dev support and hardware mounting. So maybe that's an explanation why they are releasing a new headset, because maybe it just is not compatible.
Yeah.
In terms of hardware.
It's a shame, for sure. Because it's going to be expensive. We know it's going to be expensive. So yeah, that's that. Thanks to Tyriel Wood again for doing that little bit of digging for us. Really appreciate it. Next up, we're going to be talking about some PSVR demos. So maybe if you picked up a PSVR at Christmas and you spent all your cash on some games, but you don't really have any more money to spend on games right now, like Ace Combat, for example, you can download this PSVR Demo Disc 3, which is available for free from the PSN. And it features 9 demos, which are really, really cool. Definitely worth checking out. It includes Astrobot, Battlezone, Headmaster, Job Simulator, Moss, the Kitchen demo, Super Hot, The Persistence, and Thumper. So you get to try out demos of all those awesome games. Astrobot being absolutely phenomenal. I can't recommend that game enough. So yeah, definitely check it out. If you're looking for more content and you're not quite sure what to play, you can get a little bit of a taster from this smorgasbord of demos, which you can download for free. The only one I haven't tried out of all these games is The Persistence. Have you guys tried this one?
Oh yeah. Persistence is procedurally generated horror. Actually, it's not too far off of Dreadhalls. It's kind of feels like Doom had a baby with Alien, and drop the AAA rating back to an A or a B, and then you've got it. So it's kind of like Escape, and you have to kind of scrounge for ammunition and things like that. It's pretty good. Worth downloading the demo for, I'd say.
Yeah, I actually downloaded the demo for that today. As I was doing the research for the show, I thought, I haven't played that one yet, so I'll go and pick that one up.
Yeah, that's good.
But whilst on the subject of demos, there's another one that's worth checking out if you own a PSVR that came out this week, and it's called Eden Tomorrow. This demo dropped on the store, and it's kind of like a story-driven sci-fi adventure where you sort of crash land on an alien planet, and you've got amnesia, and you've got a little companion drone called Newton that basically has a different range of skills that can aid you in your little adventure. And it looked almost identical to Robinson the Journey in my eyes. Like, I haven't played that game, but it looked very similar because it features dinosaurs on the island as well. And obviously Robinson featured dinosaurs.
That's not a bad thing if it looks like that game. I mean, that
you
game
love
looks
dinosaurs, Rowdy, so
I love
very
dinosaurs.
happy with this one. Yeah. But the weird thing is, I actually tried to find this demo on the PSN by searching it through the PSN and couldn't find it. So how I had to add this to my account was by searching on my desktop using my PC browser, logging into my PSN account, finding it through there, and then adding it to my account and then downloading it on my PlayStation. So for some reason, you just can't find it when you search for it natively on your PlayStation. You have to add it to your account through a PC or a mobile device. Don't know why.
Jesus.
It even has like the little floating thing from Robinson the Journey. I've seen the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It looks almost identical. It kind of reminded me of the ghost in Destiny, that little robot. It looks almost exactly the same.
I know what you mean.
Why don't we have these kind of things on PC demo wise? I rarely see any demos on PC. It's
a double-edged sword, really. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Maybe because maybe you can refund titles easier on these platforms.
Exactly.
So maybe that's why. But also, like, sometimes when developers release demos, it almost goes against them because the curiosity is then dead, and then people realize the true nature of the game, and they're like, I don't like this. I'm not going to bother. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword right now, but I agree. I like demos personally. I can understand why devs
I used to like demos a lot because, you know, back then there was like no internet and you would have to like get like the demo discs. I loved them then, but now I don't really see the point of them anymore. For PC, for console is a different story because indeed I think it has to do with the refund policy of Steam. Although with PlayStation it's not that hard to do it either.
I think it really depends on what demo you show people. If it's on a timer, for example, and what level it is. Yeah, if you developed a game that isn't as good, then that demo is also not gonna sell your title. But if you have a legit VR experience, then I think a demo is gonna help you out.
Yeah.
I don't think
this is the weird thing. Like when I look at PSVR demos, I was really surprised that Beat Saber wasn't on there. So I tweeted them and said, like, you should be on this demo disc. But you mentioned a timed demo, and I experienced this just recently on the new Resident Evil 2 one-shot demo, which is, you know, a PC pancake game. Yeah. But it was a really smart demo, idea that you'd have 30 minutes to play the game, and that's it. You've locked out of it. You're never going to play it again. And maybe Beat Saber could adopt a similar sort of model with that, because otherwise, if you have one level of Beat Saber and it's a good one anyway, you're just going to maybe go back and continue to play in that one. So maybe if they had a time demo, that would work well in their favor.
Yeah, but I don't think Beat Saber needs that. I think the indies need demos to sell their games. Beat Saber is something you hear from others being good, right? You hear from everyone like, oh, Beat Saber. So
a real good game probably doesn't need a demo. No. If it's in VR or in the PC market, I don't see it perfect.
I think anything with a high price point, anything with a high price point is served by a demo. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all the quick news we've got this week. So let us know if there's been any comments about funny experiences that people have had in VRChat or anything that people have been playing this week that they might want to share with us. Or maybe they're excited about Dick Wilde too, and they thought it was something else before I told them what it was.
I see that Andreas actually also agree with you, Mike. He said with a demo, it could be enough to entertain someone so that there's no need to get the full game. So that's indeed what you highlighted with the timed experience of Beat Saber.
The other thing you have to consider with demos as well is the lockout of like a credit card or a payment method. I mean, now you have some ways around it with like Steam gift cards and things like that, but I remember when I was a teen and even 10 years later, like not being able to actually pay for something digitally online was a big barrier. So a demo sometimes was your only way to sample and then go, that's a game I want. I think that still exists.
Before we go into the comments, I just want to mention one thing, actually, talking about demos and really accessing things easily and paying for it easily as well. And one of the best examples I've ever seen of this is Dispatch. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like a kind of like a a VR story that you basically watched, and it was really impressive. I thought I really enjoyed it. It was like a 4-part series, but basically the first part was free, and then they said at the end of that part you can buy the extra DLC right now by adding your PIN code. So it was in-game DLC. So you just type in your Oculus PIN code, and then it unlocked and added the rest of the content straight away, and you could consume it straight away as well, which I thought was such a smart idea, and I've not seen that done since.
I also think that for many other titles, I kind of feel like that model will feel like they're milking it. You know, like the thing that gamers usually get pissed off about is you develop this stuff and then you just put it behind a paywall. And, you know, like that game experience was very much an indie, support the indie kind of experience. And it was, the first 2 modules were free. The third one you could pay for. The fourth one you had to wait for a couple of months, and then it came out. And then, so you could pay for kind of modules 3 and 4. But I agree with you. I haven't seen a single other title use that aside from the movie buffs, like that one that they had recently with the guy who plays Daryl in Walking Dead, where they're like, oh, now you've seen this bit, now you can pay for the VR experience. I mean, all the shit out there.
Yeah, and the John Travolta one.
What's that?
And the John Travolta one.
Don't even. Please.
Or the Nicolas Cage one, even.
That was my favorite. Absolutely my favorite.
On the other side of the spectrum, you can also make a game, call it 18 floors, and then just offer, I don't know, a few
2 floors
instead of
Apparently, it's been updated recently.
Yes, they have like 1 or 2 more floors now.
Maybe 2 more, but it's definitely not 18 floors yet. So I'll wait until it's
getting
full 18
closer.
Floors.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated on that.
Yeah. So yeah, any comments in the chat that we want to share before Zim moves on to some reviews?
Paradise Decay saying that the best VR chat for me was discovering the Christmas karaoke bar. I guess that's where you spend all this time during Christmas.
Cool. Well, let's kick over to Zim then and find out what we should be playing in VR, or maybe what we shouldn't be playing in VR.
Wait. I have one more very funny comment. It comes from the Mad Hatter. He said, I tried a 15-minute timed demo of Fly Inside Flight Simulator. By the time that I was ready to fly, I had 3 minutes left.
Feel relevant and recent to you, Mike? Bet it does.
Well, I feel like I'm a pro now. You know, that's why I'm ready to hit the skies with some more. I feel like I'm ready for it.
Wait until you get into multiplayer dogfighting. That's when it really. That's when you feel like I really know nothing. You know.
I hate this game.
All right, releasing this week then. A couple of titles for you, but first I'm going to start off with a quick correction. I hype people up with, and rightly so, for Project Wingman, because I do think that, and having played the demo, I came to the crashing reality that it wasn't VR capable yet, but they had just teased the VR mode that they were working on. They actually did that recently again about a week ago. So check out the trailer for that. It's on the dev's Twitter, which is RB_dev2. So that's the correction, that the Project Wingman demo that's available is only playable in 2D mode. I did actually jump into it, and that was actually quite a bit of fun. And I do think that even when you play it in kind of like virtual desktop, you're faking the VR or whatever, you still get a feeling for like what that, you know, the windscreen on your plane is going to look like in VR as well. So I'm really looking forward to that, and honestly I think it'll end up trouncing obviously the highly pedigreed PSVR launch that we've just had. So look out for that one. That's meant to be March. First game I'm going to talk about today is a PSVR title called Kingdom of Blades. This is a you'll see it the second you see the trailer. For our audio listeners, apologies, you'll just have to imagine what this looks like. Samurai swords, heads flying at you, lots of slicing. Isn't this fruit something or other? Well, you'd think it is, but it looks like some kind of Eastern clone of that. So this is built by Chestar, released January 17th, so we're just a couple of days after that, for a tenner in US dollars, so that's $10 US, PSVR, Kingdom of Blades. So again, this looks very similar to a couple of fruit slicers that we've seen before. I've never seen anyone take this particular slant on a title, and they say you play as a frontline warrior in the Three Kingdoms period of China with nothing to depend on but your swords and your courage. You must slash your way through hordes of enemies and face off against distinguished generals to your path of fame and glory.
Wait. that description does not match the trailer that I'm watching right now. Because when I hear the description, I go like, that sounds pretty good. That's something I want to try.
Pretty enticing. Yeah, they're writer. This honestly, and yesterday, because it was one of the kind of live supported titles, I just played Fruit whatever VR. This is like complete clone. I mean, there's a few things like towards the end of the trailer, you see lightning strikes and arrow shots. So they've obviously developed the concept. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think of this, but it looks like a very odd clone from the East.
I would play this on my Go at least. I'm not so sure about PC. I don't think I feel it that much. But yeah, the heck.
So there you go. So that's Kingdom of Blades. That was the first of 3.
Still not as good as the pizza game you recommended me.
I know. I will definitely have to top that. Maybe not this month, but I'll be working on that one all year. That's a hard one to top. You know, a game that launches on the Steam store only for Rift and is Tower of Pizza. I mean, that game's gonna get so much street cred.
People in the chat are saying it looks like something that will work well in arcades, and maybe that is their target audience. Since I do think I would play this in an arcade.
That's true.
Just my mad skills.
Okay, and I'm going to jump to Title 2, which is called Profundum. This is one for our PCVR universe, available on Steam as of yesterday for, I only got the UK pricing, we'll say $18 and $15.49 in pounds. This is by Black Mouse, and this is a really interesting little tidbit about this game. The first version of the game was developed during the Global Game Jam 2018, and its mechanics the devs felt were so interesting in VR, they decided they'd develop it into a full game. And I love actually Game Jam spawned ideas. This is not the only one we have. Actually, there's one next week we'll talk about as well. Similar to this. So Profundum is a virtual reality adventure game set in a steampunk world. Obviously, there's plenty of puzzles that you need to solve that are challenging, and as you can see, it's quite a kind of visual, mechanical experience. And you have to discover secrets lurking in the mysterious underground complex. I think their attention to detail here, from what I can see from the trailer, is quite good. The game is Profundum. So there you go.
Yeah, I just want to chip into this one because I saw this one first on Twitter, I believe, like a little dev clip.
Yeah.
And they use a chain and cogs to do like mechanical puzzles, basically. And I've never seen chain physics work so well in VR. And that's what excited me about this game. So I love puzzle games. I'm definitely going to check this one out next week.
He wants to get chained up.
Yeah, well.
Weird fetish.
That's what wives are for. That's all I'm saying.
You want to be a living clock, basically.
I was gonna say the chains physics thing. You just remind me of my desire to play Wrench, and I was just thinking, what if they did, instead of a car, a bicycle building sim where you have to get the slip, chain back on the sprocket.
Nathie would love that. Nathie would love that.
Yes, I think so. No, I don't know, but this one is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
God.
Not my kind of thing, though. Gonna be honest.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. So third one. This one we have been saying since the for the last 3 weeks. We've been saying this one. This will come as no surprise to anybody. This is A Fisherman's Tale, which stars a dude who knows everything about oral hygiene. That's really for those who are watching the podcast. The guy's brushing his teeth. So this is, not to confuse you, this is not a teeth brushing simulator. So this is, again, another VR puzzle adventure game. And it is, we've talked this before, this is VR Inception plus puzzle game plus Friendly Crab. This game is $15 US, launching for PSVR and PCVR. It's out Jan 22nd across those platforms by Interspace VR. And I wanted to pause here and ask you gentlemen, fine gentlemen you are, for your feedback on this. What you like the best and maybe what you like the least about it. Convince me. Why should I be playing this game?
Yeah, and the puzzle design is so unique. I've never seen puzzle design like this in VR before. The voice acting is spot on. The only downside I would say is that it's going to be relatively short.
Yeah.
Playtime, how much?
Maybe like an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half tops, I would say.
For $15, that doesn't seem so bad for a well-developed VR title.
In terms of price, it's perfectly on point.
Exactly, that's what I would have said.
Super polished.
It's gonna be 12 quid, right, in pounds? Yeah. So, cool.
Definitely. I'm not going to make any more content around it, but I just want to find out what happens. You know, I just really want to complete the game.
No, but that's good. If a game can do
Yeah.
that, like, for me, it was the same kind of thing. I really want to like figure out what kind of happens and what is going on, because they haven't actually. I wouldn't say the storyline is insanely good, but it's good enough to keep you going back into it to figure out what exactly is going on, why you're in this kind of scenario, what is happening. So I think it's good.
It's good feedback, lads. And the last thing I'll say is, just as we mentioned last week, don't forget, if you are a PSVR owner, player, Kingdom Hearts VR experience is free on the 23rd of January. So it should be around about the time maybe you're listening to us. It's a couple of days away. So worth checking that out. It's freebie, probably AAA. PSVR. There you go. Back to
Very
you,
nice.
Mike. Cool.
Thank you very much, Zim. Thank you very much. So let's move into one of our first topics of this week, and that is Foldaway Haptics. This is kind of interesting, and I saw this on Road to VR, so I thought we should talk about this one. And I just wanted to do a quick poll before we get into the nuts and bolts of this one. What do you guys prefer? And let us know in the chat as well. Do you prefer thumbsticks or touchpads as a VR input?
It's not even a question. Is that a question? Thumbsticks. Absolutely. Analog input all the way. Where I can touch something, feel it, definitely. I'm a human. I like feedback. I don't just like looking at the woman. I like, you know.
I don't know. For me, it depends on the game.
Okay.
Since and I keep on saying that because I have like one of the Steam controllers as well, and I play with that touchpad that they have on there, which is really high quality, really well done. I play better with that than almost I play on PC, just because I get like I don't know, they have feedback in there. They have like roll feedback. All of those things you don't have in the Vive controller yet, up to that point, up to that standard. But I like a touchpad, but I don't like it for everything. Like, yeah, it's a difficult choice. I still hope that in a couple of months or years that they come with different kind of input solutions that are even better than both of those.
So have you ever tried the Windows mixed reality headsets that have both? No.
Tried, yes. Yeah, I haven't. I've tried them, but I find things if there's both, I find it confusing.
It's like a GameCube controller then. Like what? How many? What?
So what about you then, Nathie? Do you have a preference?
I think thumbsticks nail locomotion better at this moment when you want to walk around. But if you teleport in a title, you can use a touchpad or a. But as Rowdy said, if you're going through menus, things like that, it's a different story. So it depends on the game mechanics in a certain experience.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I would totally agree and sort of echo pretty much what you've said. I prefer thumbsticks for locomotion methods, but I prefer touchpads for menu navigation. So it kind of depends.
Have you tried the Steam controller for locomotion?
Yeah, I've never tried the Steam controller. No, I've tried it, but never for VR games.
Because I like that too. There.
So wait, you're using the Steam controller's touchpad for locomotion in a VR title?
No, just regular gaming. Just regular
gaming. Yeah.
Yeah. No. For the people that don't know, the Steam controller has touchpads instead of thumbsticks.
Touchpads and thumbsticks. They have them both.
They do?
They do.
Yeah.
Oh. It's like a mat, but it's a big old.
It's like a haptic feedback one. It's kind of weird, but it's cool. But the thing is, like, you know, I'm happy that, you know, HTC with the Cosmos are bringing like thumbsticks over. You know, at least we're going to have a little bit of a standard there with the Quest and the Cosmos. You know, they're going to be both fairly similar.
Yeah, I think they still haven't figured out what they want to do with locomotion. I think this is the best option they have at this moment.
Yeah, Rowdy showing off his Steam controller.
I gotta ask you though, having not touched it myself, when I looked at it, especially like engineering models and all that, those big plastic, the big plastic D-pad and the touchpad looked like cheap plastic. So I mean, how does it feel?
Really nice.
Does it
feels really nice?
Controller I have. It's the best controller I have.
Really?
I played like I played Borderlands with this. So I mean, it's a really fast for like fast first person shooters and stuff like that. Because you can flick it and like stop it. So it's like if you get the hang of it, you play a lot better with this than you play with any other controller.
Because it's more fine control.
And it's super cheap too, right? It's very cheap.
I like them a lot.
Less expensive than an Xbox controller, especially these days. Bloody hell! But the amount of design. I mean, I gotta say, if you like your bling, you can just trick out your PlayStation or Xbox controller these days. It's great.
Mm-hmm. So what we're going to be talking about today is haptic feedback through thumbsticks. So there's a Swiss company called Foldaway Haptics, and they've been working on a pocket-sized fold-away thumbstick for some time. So it basically folds down to almost like a small stack of credit card sort of size. And they've been sort of developing this for compact control inputs for computers and drones. So you can just put this in your pocket, connect it to your drone controller, and control your drone by using this kind of pop-up thumbstick design. Kind of interesting. But what they've been recently dabbling with is adding this technology to virtual reality controllers by tracking motion inputs from the user, providing force, stiffness, and texture perception through this little thumbstick. Kind of interesting. It has like a kind of, to describe it to the audio listeners, it's like a kind of origami style thumbstick design that has been added to a controller with a Vive tracker on the top of it, basically for demos. This is just a prototype right now, just FYI. You'll see in the video that we're probably showing now that with this thumbstick, you can actually push down on it and it will provide resistance depending on what you're pushing down on in the virtual world. So say you pick up a squidgy sort of stress ball in the virtual world, you can push down with your thumb and it will give that kind of squidgy kind of feeling, resistance to the thumbstick. Whereas if you picked up a solid wooden ball in the virtual world, you wouldn't have that. It would just be a rigid feedback.
So the feedback is actually programmable, like depending on how hard you press it or like the type of material that you're pressing, that feedback will feel different.
Exactly. And that works by using some sort of like robotics. Like the guys that developed this have both got PhDs in robotic engineering, super smart guys. And it's kind of interesting because we've had haptic feedback in VR before, but generally it's been with these like big bulky gloves that you have to wear with these kind of like big sort of plastic clips that restrict your movement when you grab a physical object in VR, where we've never seen it developed this way in a controller and such compact design as well. So it's kind of interesting because we get feedback through games right now through the controllers in vibrations, but it's just a single vibration, whereas what this can offer is directional feedback as well. So you could get feedback depending on which direction it's coming from in the game, which adds some real sort of interesting dynamics to potentially the future of controllers in virtual reality. So this is kind of interesting
because we touched upon this not that long ago when we were talking about like what would you like to see for like virtual reality happening like this year or in the near future. And I think this was one of the things that we mentioned as well, as like to improve like haptic feedbacks and like especially in controller support. I know that I mentioned with the controller that you like that your hand like locks when it like I still would love something like that.
It's like one of those big bulky gloves, you mean, that restricts your hands, so it feels like you're picking up a physical item. And I think that has its place, but it's expensive and the effort of having to get in and out of it every time, especially if you're on your own.
I love this
but
design.
Something like this, I kind of welcome it, because it's more compact, it's built into a controller, and although it looks like a kind of origami thing right now, it is a prototype. But what they're saying is in the future they can use this technology to basically make a traditional thumbstick controller out of it and have the same technology built into it.
You know what material this stuff? It looks like carbon or something.
It does.
Yeah, so it's carbon fiber, so it's super lightweight, super strong, but using robotic engineering components like motors and everything else. That basically it uses input from the user. So depending on which way you're pulling it or pushing it and how much pressure you're putting on it depends on how much resistance it provides. It's very complicated. Kind of blows my mind a little bit, but basically it can give up to 2 newtons worth of resistance back up.
It's pretty strong.
So
I like this design. I mean, they've thought about the strength. The thing is, from a robotics background, as you said, very maths heavy in terms of what they're trying to do here, especially when you're trying to exert force in the complex way they are. So the software layer behind this would be hefty. But
tell them to make a controller now that like has like 15 of these things like spread over your entire hand. Like,
oh my god! And it just like comes out of a backpack here, and you're just like, I mean, the thing I like about this controller design compared to the giant glove that tries to. I always just imagine the Saw film and it just breaking all your fingers when you demo it. So every time you guys mention it, I shudder because I'm just like I'm just like, oh yeah, it's so great. And just demo it on E3 floor.
Just imagine the amount of views you would get on that.
Yeah, thanks. All my fingers broken, but oh hey, I'm a YouTube star now. Great. But no, like I really like the look of it because although you'd want to obviously develop it with these kind of materials that they're working on, work on the hinging structure so that it could put up to a 9-year-old who's playing on a PSVR equivalent. It seems really smart and not like anything we've seen either out of the prototyping labs from Oculus or Vive. At least nothing we've seen publicly demonstrated so far, and none of the other kind of Kickstarters or indies. So the guys have a good chance of making it with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I thought it was so interesting, because I've never seen anything like this before, and it kind of solves a bit of a problem that we're having right now. But, you know, we're getting to a point in VR that there's so much innovation going on, you know, like with the Valve Knuckles controllers, all that sort of capacitive touch sensors in the grip and everything else. So we're really sort of like getting into interesting territory where there's a lot of innovation going on. So it's very exciting indeed. But yeah, if you kind of don't really get what we're talking about, because I think you do need to kind of see the videos, I definitely recommend checking out the Foldaway Haptics website and looking at some of their concept videos there, and then you get a better understanding of what we're talking about right now.
It looks very satisfying. I would love to try it.
Yeah, sure.
The way you said that, Nate, it looks very satisfying.
Yes. Yes. So that's why you should watch the video first. You know, it's totally worth it. I can kind of feel the excitement already of what it could possibly do. Yeah.
Very cool indeed. But whilst we're on the subject of haptics, let's move on to our second second topic, and that is the Protube haptic feedback module. I saw some really cool stuff from Protube this week on their Twitter, and I'd never seen this before, although it has been in development for some time, it seems. And if you're not familiar with Protube, you know, Rowdy mentioned it at the beginning. They basically make VR gun stocks for Rift, Vive, and Windows MR, and they've got stocks in the work as well for PSVR and Valve Knuckles controllers as well. Like, they've already developed them because the Protube guys already have access to the Knuckles, so that's almost a given that that's going to happen, which is kind of cool. But the Protube itself basically consists of some metal tubing with plastic hinges and then sockets for your controllers to slot into. So they slot into this kind of stock, which resembles basically how you would hold a rifle in real life. And this is obviously ideal for first-person shooters in VR, like Onward, Pavlov, Zero Caliber, and obviously our personal favorite, Contractors. They kind of look pieced together with their 3D printed parts, but they're very sturdy, and a lot of our colleagues use them and have recommended them. And I think Rowdy's going to show the stream his Protube now.
And if he doesn't, if he doesn't, then this is the biggest lead up to like now he just comes back on stream with like an ice cream cone.
Yeah, the anticipation is real. But a bit like what Zim touched on at the very beginning is like adding these like accessories to your VR experience can really add to the immersion. And what we found obviously with haptic feedbacks when we've discussed that before, and like when we've tried out the B Haptics vest or the butt kicker or, you know, the sub pack, a little bit of haptic feedback in VR can make a huge difference and really add to the immersion. Yeah. And I think what Protube are doing here is taking their sort of stock design and really taking it to the next level by adding haptic feedback in the form of realistic sort of recoil. So basically, when you pull the trigger on your controller, whether that be a Vive controller or a Rift controller, you're going to get some recoil feedback on the stock that actually sits in your shoulder blade, where you'd rest your rifle stock, basically. And a bit like what Nathie was saying, I think it was last week when you were talking about that handgun stock. You know, it really adds to the experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think Rowdy's showing us his Protube now.
That took a while, my days.
Yeah, it was in my closet.
You did it very well, though. You did it like so silently.
It's a robust bit of kit, though, right? It's just robust. You struggle to break it.
Yeah. It's pretty much unbreakable, and also has these like kind of like, so you can change, like, I don't know if you can see that, like those kind of like, yeah, you can see it there. So you can like loosen them up and like change the handles, and like, because this is not like set up at all, like, because you can like I'm not gonna, because it's like tightened up, but you can like set it up to for different kind of weapons. You can like set it up for like rifles, carbines, like all kinds of different kind of things. So
I think we were trying to articulate there. So it's like almost like a bicycle seat tightening and loosening mechanic to adjust the pieces, so you can adjust it to what you like.
Not like this, but it's these ones, they do move. Huh? So these
like the holders that actually hold the controller. But this thing is it's one straight thing up until here, and then you can it's a hinge that can like go down.
Jesus.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when we went to OC5 and we were seeing all like the Onward Pro League, all the players were using these, weren't they? It's almost like they were sponsored by Protube because everyone was using one. And I think it's kind of one of those given things now that if you're serious about your multiplayer shooters, that you have one of these, because how it helps you in game is that it helps you line up your rifle immediately without having to worry about your two hands crossing over. So your rifle is lined up straight away. You can just put it into your shoulder and line up the shot accurately. But having
like rifles and like those kind of things, that it's very very handy, because you know the slightest movements that you have then, especially if you're like holding it just generally, it just, you know, your aim is like screwed up.
Only tip I have for freehanders, which I think it certainly helped me, and I can't remember who's told me about it, is if you are in like Onward or whatever, instead of holding your hands out here and kind of that being all jostly, and even if you've got it lined up with your eye, if you take it back and actually rest it on if you rest one controller like on your face, then you're actually you've only got 1 point of movement. So it's a lot more stable. But it makes you feel like you're playing paintball. You know, when you've got that
exactly
access.
And the thing is as well, like with games like Contractors, they've been really smart knowing that the community are going to use these stocks. So they've added a lot of settings in the menus so you can line up your physical stock exactly how it would be represented in game. And like we said at the beginning when we touched on it with the mag mounts, you know, if you buy the mag mount upgrade for the Protube, you can just snap the controllers on and off the rail really quickly. So reloading isn't an issue, like Rowdy said at the beginning. But this new haptic feedback module that they're developing, it basically adds onto the end where the stock sits into your shoulder, and it's got a small motor inside it. So every time you pull the trigger, you get a little plate that moves into your shoulder, giving you a bit of recoil feedback, which again is just going to add to the immersion of playing a game like this. I reached out to the developers of Protube today and asked them when this is going to be coming out, and they said they're going to be crowdfunding this device in around 3 weeks' time. So this is probably going to come to Kickstarter or another crowdfunding platform. So if you're interested in this, we'll keep you updated when it goes live on the show, and maybe you can back this on Kickstarter yourself and upgrade your current Protube, or maybe buy the whole bundle as a full package.
Some people in the chat were asking, I saw Filippo site asking, like, how do you switch to a pistol when you use that pull? I find a funny question as well, but it's very easy, because this one is only used for your main rifle. So as soon as you want to switch to your pistol, that's why they have that kind of swing on there. You just like swing it aside and use your controller to get your pistol. And with the mag mounts, it's very easy to do, because again, you can like just like clip it out, like clip, and you get the pistol.
Must make you feel like fucking Rambo.
Yeah.
If you know how to use them, like it looks like you're freaking Rambo as well. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, so I wish on my PSVR aim controller I had the thing to just swing it around the back. I'm gonna have to figure something out now. And to be honest, lads, in fact, a lot of you, because I'm gonna have to buy one of these things now. It sucks. But the thing I don't understand, and I saw in the Twitter thread when this post hit, I understand they're not triggering off of sound, which is what most of these work. So that means they're actually going the development pipeline of getting direct support per game, which is definitely mixed blessing, because it will only, I assume then by that design, will only work with specific titles, but it will work so much better to that extent.
But at the same time, if you look at like the VR scene where they're very focused on, there's only a couple of titles that really use the Protube, and these are the same titles that are working directly also with Protube. You have Pavlov, you have Onward. I mean, I think even that Protube was sponsoring the Onward tournament that we saw.
That's
on
right.
RC5.
Yeah.
So they're working already very closely together with the development of them. They have many of those games actually already have Protube support, so you can select that you're using like one of those like handheld mounts. So I think that there's some reason behind that why they're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And, having used a stock once in the past, I 3D printed one back in the day. I really enjoyed it. I'm tempted to 3D print another one now, whilst we wait for this, fancy new module from Protube to come out, because I think that's definitely what I want. But in the meantime, maybe I can sort of just play around with a 3D printed one.
It's funny that your wife warned you to not print any guns with and now you're actually.
For those that don't know this joke, basically I bought a 3D printer and my wife was like, we'd been watching a lot of Black Mirror at the time, just FYI, and my wife was like, what if your 3D printer prints itself a gun and shoots you? I was like, we're not quite ready for the robot uprising yet. Like, it's going to be a little while.
You know what you should do, Mike? You should just start printing the gun stock and then go and call your wife and she'd be like, hey, did you turn on the printer? Like, what is it doing here?
It's turning against me. It wants to kill me. But let us know in the chat if you use Protube and what you think of it and what games you're using it for. We'd love to know. But I think this is super interesting. And like I've said before, a little bit of haptic feedback can make a big difference in terms of immersion in VR. So I'm definitely excited for this one. A friend of mine who actually built this desk for me, he's a bit of a mad inventor and a sort of carpenter, but he built a very similar prototype. And what he had done was he took a nail gun and took the nails out of it, because it just basically fires compressed air. And
just
then,
imagine if he didn't.
This sounds safe from the very get-go. Yep.
And then was able to mount it with a Vive controller. So when you pulled the trigger on the Vive controller, it also pulled the trigger on the nail gun, and it used the compressed air, and it really made some like really cool haptic feedback recoil, like really powerful as well. You were like, holy crap. So I was like begging him to like make it for me, but you have to like have it connected to the mains, like a 220 volts, 220 volts. So it's pretty dangerous doing that blind in VR. So he decided against letting me do it. But yeah, that kind of concept I really like. So I'm looking forward to this for sure.
You have a video of that somewhere, I think.
You somewhere.
You showed me that ages ago.
I do somewhere.
Because I remember you showing it to me. It was like a year and a half ago, and I was like, that is pretty freaking cool. But
it's really heavy recoil. And he was saying like after maybe like 1,000 pulls of the trigger, it probably just end up splitting the wood. It was so powerful.
Why does this remind me of like World War II and those scientists who were like, oh, we've learned how to split the atom, and then they're like flown in to be like, yeah, you're gonna help us, boy, to just go nuke the Japanese. It's this whole thing. Actually, that was a different war. Anyway, I've confused myself, but you get the point.
But this guy, he was like a mad inventor, but he totally loved getting involved in stuff like that. So
so maybe I should try to flex tape a nail gun to my PSVR aim controller for Dick Wilde.
Do it the right way around, Nathie, not that you get like.
No. Don't test it while hanging above your gun, right?
On our pre-roll, we're going to need to add some disclaimer text. Please do not try anything FReality recommends at home, as you may end up dead. Thank you.
We have someone in the chat saying as well, like that he's waiting out for the PPVR gun. Worst name ever, if you ask me. PPVR gun. I don't know if you guys know that one.
I think that's the molded one that looks like a rifle out of Halo or something. Yeah.
Can I say, as the one with 2 young kids, can I say, ooh, I know that one. That's the one in Astrobot where you get to pee on all the little robots. That's what my kids love. They're like, no, pee on that guy, pee on that guy. So anyway,
it's not that one.
Isn't VR Bound a website where you can buy all kinds of guns where you can slide your controllers in? I think I saw that before, where you can buy like a Scar or an M4, or there are some legit looking guns you can buy. I'm not sure if you are allowed to buy them, but
the PPVR gun is an actual controller. It's very expensive as well, but I kind of like. I'm not that excited about it because I already know that it won't work for every kind of game that you're going to play. Also because guns are different, especially like it's going to be really weird to like be reloading that. It's going to be again not doing it manually, and I like doing all those kind of things manual. If it doesn't do it manual, then I'm already it's not real VR anymore. So
that's what comes from like a lot of the satisfaction of playing a game like Contractors, is that reloading mechanic and being fast at it as well, because it's not like Black Ops or some other game like that where you just push a button, it reloads for you. You have to physically do it yourself, so it adds a dynamic to the game, of being fast.
I'm sure I've seen this PPVR gun deployed at VRLA last year. And
they've been downloading it for quite a while, but I don't think it has hit the market. I've seen that in the chat someone saying that it's $1,500.
Wow.
I don't know if that is true, but if it is, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. So let's wrap this show up then. I'll do a reminder of the show times. If you've got any questions in the chat, now's a good time to ask them. So it is just a reminder that it's a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. Thank you very much to all of you that have joined us in the chat live. We really appreciate it, and thank you for pushing us over the 1,000 subscriber threshold. We really, really appreciate it. And we want to continue to, make the show as best as we possibly can for you guys and girls. And we've got a few ideas in the work that we're going to test around. So maybe you might see some of those in future episodes of the show. Obviously, next week, Nathie's going to be away in China. So wish him a very happy trip. He's going to be away for a week, but we'll be back on the show the following week. And like I said, we're going to have a special guest next week. I think we're going to have Voodoo DE join us on the show, and he can talk to us about his hands-on experience with the Pimax, the Samsung Odyssey Plus as well that he has access to, and his time at CES. So I'm sure he's going to have an interesting load of information to add to the show as well. So
he's a collector as well, right?
Oh, for sure.
How was your German, Mike?
It's bad. All I know is how to order a blue ice cream. Eine blaue Enge. That is all I know.
That's very specific.
That's not what that means.
Very useful.
I don't know. It worked. I got blue ice creams, so I was happy as a kid. That's all I needed to know.
What the fuck is blue ice cream?
I don't know. I think it was like a slush puppy type thing.
Okay.
I used to get it from the local ice cream man who used to come around my estate.
It's a bit nervous.
Yeah. That's all I know.
People are saying have fun, Nathie, in China. I think it's, is that your first time in Asia then, or have you been there before?
Yes. No, it's the first time.
I can't wait to hear back. I can't wait to hear back. Yeah.
It's gonna be super awesome. It's gonna be my first step into let's say China and VR. It's gonna be so short. It's gonna fly by. I already know that, but.
Yeah, it's going to be great when you come back. I'm sure you're going to have plenty of stories to share with us, so you get to sort of relive Nathie's trip through the show, which will be interesting. So
we'll do like a deer show.
Yeah.
And here's me, and there's
So do we have any questions in the chat for us? Or is everyone...
someone's talking about Rowdy's sexual devices. I don't know what that refers to, but I'm guessing it's this thing.
Yes, I'd say so.
I wonder if I can modify one of my airsoft rifles. Well, that's actually a good idea. Maybe that would be indeed something. Also, I saw that MindJive said that Tactical Haptics reactive grip VR controls are now production ready. There's an article that was uploaded on Upload VR, and he has been waiting for these for the last 5 years.
Tactical Haptics.
Tactical Haptics reactive grip VR controllers.
That sounds like a military thing.
Yeah.
I'll look into that for sure.
Someone also said, don't forget to rub the like button.
Yeah, I'm thinking that came because of my sexual devices.
There's many safe and not safe for work related comments on your based on your tube there, Rowdy. So thank you, everyone.
Let's wrap it up there then. So I hope you guys and girls have enjoyed this. Thanks again for those of you that join us live. We really appreciate you sort of getting involved with the comments and interacting with everyone else in the chat as well. And thanks again for pushing us over the 1,000 subscribers. Have a great week in VR. Good luck, Nathie, on your Asian trip, and we'll see you when you return. And have a great week in VR, and we'll see you next week as always with Voodoo DE in tow as well. So bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Take care.
Auf Wiedersehen.